Hi, I'm David Attenborough, and what we are observing today is me as a young child, 7 years old by the looks of it. Must have been 1932 in Isleworth, West England. As you can see, I do love studying rocks and little bugs, and this is what I did for most of my childhood. I grew up in a college house, the campus of University College, where my father was principal. This is me at Wedgeston Grammar School, studying hard as I always do. Notice the way I bob my head. In the wild, that is considered a strong sign of exhaustion. I studied so hard, in fact, that I got a scholarship to Clare College in 1945. Let's be quiet, let's not interrupt my studying. As you can see here, I'm packing to ship off to North Wales. I was called up for national service for the Royal Navy in 1947. Little did I know that I was going to meet my loving wife, Jane Oriel, God rest her soul, 2 years after I returned. This was one of my first famous TV programs, Animal Patterns. What made this one special, however, is that I actually presented this, first of many to come. Oh, and look at my colleague, Sir Julian Huxley, presenting that creature. He was the founding member of the World Wildlife Fund and a great man, God rest his soul. Now this was a turning point in my career with the BBC. These two fat cats wanted me to move out of London all the way to Bristol to run this new BBC production they called the Natural History Unit. I was tempted, of course, because this would really help reach out to everyone and educate them on our planet, and I was a firm believer in the term knowledge is power. I still am. However, it would pull me away from my loving wife and two beautiful kids, Robert and Susan, who were nothing more than newborns at the time. I declined the offer, and the executives didn't take it very well at all. Instead, I formed the Travel and Exploration Unit that allowed me to continue to front my shows without having to leave London. I remember this. This was when BBC had given me my own channel to work with. It was known as BBC Two, and it was incredibly unpopular and underviewed. I ended up transforming the unpopular channel into a world-renowned education service still used today. I devoted BBC Two into being a way for everyone to learn about culture, music, arts, archaeology, and biology from all corners of the globe. Ah yes, this was in 1973 after I became a freelance broadcaster for the BBC. I made a documentary called Eastward with Attenborough, where I showed the culture and tradition of tribes in Indonesia and the animals that they were connected with. It's like an old show that I had produced before, but instead I decided to preserve the environment and promote keeping the health of what I was filming, so I never took any animal specimens back to England. This movie became wildly popular, so I decided to start working on a huge project called Life on Earth. This project was so large, in fact, that BBC had to be paired with an American network to secure the funding. For 6 long years, I researched, wrote, and filmed Life on Earth. I wanted to make sure this one would last for generations, so I called in as many favors as I could with people I've worked with. With that, I was able to access some of the most remote places in the world. I used this to toy with my new observing techniques with the camera, which turned out to revolutionize the industry. It was a commercial success and an educational success, so I was easily able to get the money for my next projects. I joined a group called the Western Exploration Team out to New Guinea in search of a lost tribe. The documentary that followed was called A Blank on the Map, and it was an incredible adventure. It too became wildly popular, like Life on Earth. For the next 30 years, I worked on documentary after documentary, program after program, each one getting one step closer to educating the next generation on our beautiful planet.